MeMonster.
Chapter 221. Late at night, Boss returned to the chameleon troop's hideout for the first time in a while. She jumped onto her bed and stared up at the ceiling, lying in a pose reminiscent of Dracula. She gazed blankly for a long time, before taking something from her pocket and holding it up to the light. The platinum ring she received sparkled. Although it looked ordinary, its effects were anything but. Why did Kim Hajin give this to me? He had given a reason, that it was an artifact that suited her. Boss accepted his explanation, but she still felt conflicted. She sighed, but resolved to wear the ring. High-grade magic amplification was a top-tier effect, hard to come by no matter how much money one had. The only question was, which finger to wear it on. Boss quickly decided. The finger that hurts. 9 of her fingers were rough, covered in calluses and scars. Not even magic or mana could heal them. Women who planned to become heroes often received special care from a young age, but Boss was not an ordinary woman. But one finger was different. Her left pinky had no calluses, no scars, and had never been severed. Biting this finger hurt. Boss put the ring on her left pinky. The ring resized itself to fit snugly. Ring. My ring. A gift I received. Lying on her bed, Boss stared at the ring on her pinky. A small smile appeared on her face. The association and the guild alliance won the battle but lost the war. There were no casualties inside or outside the excavation site, but the Jinns had taken over 60% of the artifacts. The association had hoped to retrieve at least 50%, so they considered this a clear defeat. However, not all guilds failed. In fact, Creator's Sacred Grace was one of the biggest winners. On the first underground floor, they discovered 8 expensive artifacts, including Temujin's personal hat and leather armor, as well as other valuable collectibles. Well done, Suho. Outside the front entrance of Pyongyang's hero-exclusive hospital, Kim Suho and Yun Sung-ah smiled at each other. Young Sung-ah, usually burdened by pressure, wore a genuine smile today. It was all thanks to you, leader. Kim Suho bowed. Yun Sung-ah gently stroked his forehead. Kim Suho blushed at the light touch. We're much better off now. You can expect a huge bonus. I plan to give you one of the artifacts. Huh? No, Just take it. It wouldn't have been possible without you. Really, how did you dig up so many buried artifacts in just 1 minute? Although his sword wasn't meant for digging, Kim Suho's Sword Saint gift severed the connection between the artifacts and the ground, making them pop up like balls underwater. Kim Suho laughed bashfully at her praise. Anyway, you can go back now. You want to see your friends, right? Yes. Then I'll get back to work. I have to report the artifacts, talk to the association, and, well, there's a lot to do. Kim Suho smiled and watched Yun Sung-ah Liduvahai. When her card disappeared from sight, he returned to the hospital and went to visit a friend. As soon as he entered China Yun's room, he heard her voice. What? It wasn't you? With bandages around her head, neck, and arm, China Yun stared at Yiji Yun in shock. Of course not. I came quickly after team leader Youngjin notified me. I didn't shoot an arrow at you. Really? Don't lie to me. I'm not lying. You said you were healed as soon as the arrow hit you, right? My healing factor can't do instantaneous healing. Then who was it? Other than you, who? Kim Suho walked in and sat down. What are you guys talking about? Huh? China Yun and Yiji Yun turned to him at the same time. Oh, if it ain't Creator's Sacred Grace who hit it big. China Yun narrowed her eyes jokingly. Rumors of Creator's Sacred Grace's findings had already spread. Kim Suho laughed and played along. I heard the Straight got good artifacts too. Yeah, but it wasn't as satisfactory considering we were on the 5th floor. Didn't you guys get a female horse and a male horse? Oh, how did you find out? As they talked about their guild's hall, 4 fledglings entered China Yun's room. Senior. Hello. How is your body? I hope your injuries aren't too bad. They were Essential of the Straight's new apprentice heroes, Cube's 3rd-year cadets, China Yun's juniors. She stared at them with narrowed eyes. Why are you guys here? We're here to see you. We heard you were injured. Thanks, But I don't like things like this. Don't come next time. Yes, understood. The 2 male and 2 female party didn't leave. They put their get-well gift on the ground and stared at her. With a sigh, Chai Na-yun spoke. Fine, screw off if you don't want me to beat you up. Heh. Yes, understood. Only after hearing harsh words did the 4 fledglings happily leave. Kim Suho tilted his head at the scene. Who are they? I don't know. They like it when I curse. Huh? No way. Yes way. I think my personality's getting worse because of them. They won't listen if I'm nice. I can't do anything since they visit every time I leave the tower. I'm afraid they'll even follow me into the tower. Scary kids. Chai Na-yun grumbled, though she was secretly happy. Oh, what happened? Tell me. Was it 3 months ago? I left the tower for a bit, and the guild assigned me to take care of the apprentice heroes once. A mission they went on together started it all. They argued with a foreign guild's hero about a monster corpse. Because that hero kept blabbering nonsense, Chai Na-yun got pissed off and cursed him out. Oh, it was that incident in Europe, right? Those kids probably thought you were really cool. But didn't you curse a lot before anyway? Ise-yun added. Never mind. Anyway, Kim Suho. Chai Na-yun sipped her kopi luwak coffee and said, Can you get in touch with him? Kim Suho understood the weight of her words. I don't know, he asked back, but what if I can? Who knows, but I'll have to meet him at least once eventually, Chai Na-yun murmured. Kim Suho was slightly bothered by Yi-ji-yun, who was fidgeting next to Chai Na-yun, but he asked anyway, And what if you do meet him? Well, after a moment, Chai Na-yun continued. We'll probably fight until one of us dies. Her voice was full of loneliness. Kim Suho smiled bitterly. He wanted to ask just how bad was the breakup to want to kill each other, but refrained. Okay, he smiled. Anyway, if you meet him, be sure to tell me, Chai Na-yun requested firmly. She was confident in herself. She felt she had overcome one of her deepest traumas. Now, if they met again, she felt she could face him and ask about the truth. Okay. Chai Na-yun stood up. I'm going to Yunha now. She went off to find Yu Yun-ah, who was probably holed up somewhere. Chai Na-yun had a good idea where, likely in the lounge waiting for her guild members in surgery. Koom. Chai Na-yun swung the lounge door open. The dull thud suggested the door was locked. In any case, she saw Yu Yun-ah's familiar figure inside, eating cup noodles.
As soon as Chai Na-yun entered, Yu Yen-ha spat out the noodles. She wiped her mouth as if nothing happened, then looked up. You're here, Na-yun see? Seeing Yu Yen-ha's nonchalant act, Chai Na-yun laughed. You're eating ramen? Ramen? What ramen? Yu Yen-ha was telling a strange lie. Chai Na-yun pointed at the cup noodles. You were just eating that. Oh, this? Yu Yen-ha stared at Chai Na-yun, then at the cup noodles, then back and forth several times. In the end, tack, she flicked her hand and knocked the cup noodles down. Looking at the soup and noodles on the ground, Chai Na-yun asked, dumbfounded, What are you doing? Oh, this? Yu Yen-ha blankly stared at the cup noodles. Why did you do that? Oh, what's this? Yu Yen-ha suddenly yelled as if she just noticed the spilled noodles. Chai Na-yun narrowed her eyes. Are you joking? I'm your boss, you know. You'll be punished if you talk to me that way. Chai Na-yun chose to forget what she saw and walked up to Yu Yen-ha. By the time she sat down next to her, the cup noodles had disappeared. Yu Yen-ha had clearly used magic. So, do you need something, Na-yun see? I'm waiting for my teammates too. How are the surgeries going? Yu Yen-ha grinned. Good, everything's fine. No loss of limbs or magic power. Chai Na-yun nodded with relief. She was glad no one was gravely hurt. Then she thought of a lighter topic. Oh, right. What's up with that spandal? The first news she saw after leaving the tower was a scandal involving Yu Yen-ha, a relationship scandal. According to the report, Yu Yen-ha was dating Lorraine, a son of the multinational corporation Les Lorraine. It's nonsense. I'm already taking legal measures. Yu Yanha's reaction was as expected. China Yun nodded and sighed. Yeah, I guess we're both a long way from dating anyone. But I'm already in a relationship. Hearing this, China Yun's eyes widened. What? With who? Yu Yanha smiled brightly. With work. Yu Yanha meant it as a joke, but China Yun took it differently. Whose work? Eh? After all the heroes successfully underwent surgery, Yu Yanha left the hospital and made a call. Turing, turing. The phone rang, and just when Yu Yanha worried he wouldn't pick up again. Hello? Yeah, what's up? Kim Hajin's indifferent voice answered. Yu Yanha sighed of relief. You haven't been picking up or replying to my texts. What have you been up to? All kinds of things. I'm resting now, though. All kinds of things. The way Kim Hajin said it made it sound like he was hurt. A lot. Yu Yanha sighed. Don't do it. Don't do what? Kim Hajin pretended to not know. You know what I mean. Huh? What do you mean? I already heard that you killed Black Lotus. Oh, so? Does he take me for a fool? Yu Yanha glanced around and continued in a whisper. I know you're chasing after the remaining members of the Chameleon Troupe. This time, Kim Hajin didn't answer. That probably meant she was right. It's too dangerous alone, so... No, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not chasing anyone. Huh? Yu Yanha paused. For a moment she wondered if it was all in her head. Really? Yeah, I killed Black Lotus because Eileen asked. It's not like I'm chasing the Chameleon Troupe for personal reasons. What floor are you on? Let's meet inside the tower and talk. Then meet me on the 15th floor. Hearing this, Yu Yanha's voice rose. What? You're already that high up, so you are chasing them. I'm not. Anyway, get to the 15th floor. I'll come looking for you then. I still think you're lying, but okay. Yu Yanha still wanted to talk more, as none of her questions were answered, but Kim Hajin was surely busy, and she had things to do as well. Anyway, don't do anything too dangerous. I don't do dangerous jobs. Yeah. If anything happens, just call me. I'm hanging up. I'm telling you nothing. Yu Yanha hung up, then called someone else. Hello. A cold, icy voice came from her, completely different from before. Yes, Team Leader Yu, I hope you saw the apology letter I sent. No. Pardon? I read it. That's my reply. Suhan Mu Corporation. It was one of Essence of the Strait's subcontractors. Using funding from Essence of the Strait, it had become a medium-sized company developing new technology. But as their contract neared its end, Suhanmu secretly sold their technology to a foreign company. When Yu Yanha found out, she was dumbfounded. You have two choices. I'm sorry, but please, team leader. You can walk into your grave on your own or watch yourself be put into it. Suhanmu's secret trade was discovered by Yu Yanha's Falling Blossom Guild in one day. She immediately tied up its executives in Korea by banning them from traveling and freezing their funds. Team leader, I have children, Yu Yanha hung up as the man yelled desperately. A bitter sigh escaped her. Essence of the Strait did not show mercy to traitors and always repaid debts. Today, that rule would be kept again. But for some reason, a sense of emptiness dug into her. It felt like there were holes in her body, with the feeling of powerlessness passing through them. Yu Yanha felt lethargic. Then a wooden bench caught her eye. Under the setting sun, two heroes embraced. Soon, their lips met. Oh my! Yu Yanha clicked her tongue, but for some reason her eyes stayed on them. The couple's tongues began to intertwine. Gulp. One tongue attacked the other, almost like two whips. Gulp. Yu Yanha swallowed, watching the lewd scene. Just then her secretary's limousine stopped in front of her. Sorry for being late. Yes? The secretary quickly got out and opened the back door. No, it's fine. After getting in, Yu Yanha forced herself not to look at the couple on the bench. 15F, Genkelpo's abandoned vessel. After spending about 4 days resting with Evandel, I returned to the tower. I powered up the ship, awakened the NPC soldiers, and reinforced the ship's military power by spending TP. With that, I gained 43 heavily armed soldiers. Area 3 has been mostly returned to normal operations. Fixing the self-powering system seems to have done the trick. I was currently being guided around Area 3 by the ship's captain. Area 3 now seemed like a place where people lived, and the NPCs were grateful. Horner spoke. Now, we would like to initiate the plan to save humanity. Of course, that's as long as ship commander allows it. I glanced at Horner. I had become the ship commander. Are you confident? Yes, we've trained for it many times. Thanks to eating well, we have recovered to our peak, and everyone is full of enthusiasm. Then go ahead. I'll allow it. Use as much TP as you want. It was a bit irresponsible, but I had no choice. I had to climb up. At that moment, uninvited guests appeared. 3 people have entered Area 3. Player Phantom Thief, Player Goria's Strongest, Player Hurabono. They have been confirmed to be ship commander's comrades. The entrance will be open.
Area 3's management system opened the door with a mechanical voice. Chiak Junjiang, Jane, and Jin Yohan walked in. I smiled. You're here? Yep, we just arrived. Jane took off her robe and looked around the futuristic Area 3 with curiosity. Wow, it's like I'm in a sci-fi movie. Where's Boss? She said she had something to do. I asked what I'd been dying to know. Oh right, Jane, how many artifacts did you steal? I wasn't greedy, just half of what the Jinns uncovered. I brought a bow for you too. By bow, she probably meant Temujin's bow. I planned to synthesize Temujin's bow with the blessed bow of Horus. I didn't need 2 bows. Thank you. No problem. I should be the one who's thankful. Jane proudly displayed the bracelet on her arm. It was the bracelet I made for her using the materials she gave me. I chose a bracelet since she already had a ring and a necklace. That small bracelet used 21 jewels. The strap was made of moon ice stone, said to be more beautiful than gold. Just the cost of the material surpassed 20 billion won, and with dwarf's dexterity, it became priceless. So, what are we doing today? Jane asked with a big smile. We're going up to the 16th floor. Now? Yes, we can go up whenever we want. Area 3 had a hangar with flying vehicles capable of traversing the tower's void. By reaching the 16th floor, we could see the true demon realm. Oh, that's good with me. Chok Junjiang smacked his chest like a gorilla. I smirked and called the captain. Horner, yes, the spacecrafts are ready. We'll be using them soon. With this, it should be an easy climb to the 19th floor. It probably wouldn't take more than 2 weeks. However, things would get more difficult from the 20th floor onward. Just like Krivon's 8-1F, 8.2F, and 8.3F, the 20th to 23rd floors are connected. I had to prepare to lose at least 1 life. I'll lead the way. I followed Horner, and my comrades followed me. 30 minutes later, after Ship Commander Extra 7 and his comrades left, Horner and the military strategist Ariner had a meeting. As long as we opened the pathway, Ship Commander said he would unlock the hibernation chambers. Yes, but the question is how to open the pathway. It's simple. We just have to dig through it. But alien hosts are living in underground cities. While Horner and Ariner discussed their next move, a warning alarm went off in the ship. A being with a high state of existence entered the vessel. A being with a high state of existence entered the vessel. A being with a high state of existence entered the vessel. What? Someone with a high state of existence? The ship's NPCs froze at the unexpected message.
Horner and Eriner quickly moved to the control room and checked the camera. They saw two women walking toward Area 3. Two robed beings with extraordinary states of existence. They were the administrators Medea and Athena. Eriner asked, "Aren't they administrators?" "Yes, but why are they here?" "Administrators can't enter other floors without that floor's administrator's permission." But the 15th floor was a special case, as it wasn't an official floor with an administrator. "I'm not sure, but it looks like we have to open the door." Though scared by the administrator's sudden appearance, Horner quickly decided and opened the tightly shut door. Sssss. Medea and Athena walked in. Though their faces were veiled, the NPCs recognized them by their unique magic power. The shipmates shivered in fear. To them, administrators were far from kind. "Hello, everyone," Medea asked, kindly, looking at the scared NPCs. "Is player Extra 7 here?"
Chapter 222, Spacecraft A7102. I wasn't sure what its official name was, but I boarded the spacecraft with that designation, along with my comrades. Horner asked if I knew how to pilot, and I nodded confidently. I had never learned to drive anything like this, but I possessed the technique, Level 6 driving, with the maximum level being 10, so I could handle all kinds of vehicles with ease. Even without it, my special skill, algorithm, allowed me to become one with any machine. "If you're unaccustomed to flying, I'll have someone accompany you." "No, I'm okay." Scan." I whispered and checked the percentage. 43. 43% consolidation. My gifts were mostly restored at this point. Once I cleared the 20th floor, my abilities inside and outside the tower would be in sync. I even applied a blessing using the Level 5 Yggdrasil leaf to the enhanced spaceship. This was the so-called two-stage consolidation. "Oh, is this..." Horner seemed half confused and half surprised at the spaceship's sudden change. "See, I'm good at anything related to machines, so you don't have to worry about me. You can focus on saving humanity or whatever it is you want to do." "Yes, I understand." Horner left, relieved, as I sat in the driver's seat. I looked around, trying to figure out what to do next, and then grabbed the yoke, the control wheel of the spaceship. Simultaneously, Aether flowed out from me, moving like a tentacle to wrap around the yoke, then spreading throughout the spacecraft, connecting my body to the machine in an instant. "Aether has been connected to the spacecraft. Algorithm activated. Performance and efficiency improved by 40%. Level 8, A7192 will now move according to your will." At the same time, my eyes widened. The image projected on my retina changed. What lay ahead was the endless darkness of space, dotted with faint specks of light. I shouted in sync with the spacecraft. "We're taking off!" The trio, who had been looking around the spaceship, shuddered. "Hajin, you sure you know how to handle this?" "Of course." "Hey, you know that dude who just left? Who was he again?" I briefly answered Chok Jung Young's question. "Horner." "Yes, him. Can't we just ask him to do this?" "No." I refused flatly and started the engine. The spacecraft launched from the hangar. Fuel erupted explosively from the lower section, and the energy from the eruption was intense. Yet, inside the ship, it was silent. This was to be expected. Currently, 3 types of reinforcements had been applied to this spacecraft. My gift, Random Consolidation System, my skill, Algorithm, and my item, Yggdrasil leaf. There was no doubt it was stronger than most battleships. "Wow! Look outside!" Once the shuttle entered the main orbit, the trio regained their calm and looked out the window. "That circular thing over there is the 16th floor? This is cool." "You're right. The land is shaped differently. It's definitely not Earth." "Ooh, so beautiful." Chok Jung Young, Jin Yo Han, and Jayan stood side by side, expressing their admiration. Suddenly, I asked, "That's right, Jayan. How are things in Prestige?" "Prestige?"
The click-clack of Giant's footsteps echoed over the tiles as she sat next to me in the passenger seat. It's basically a metropolis. Ah, really? Yup. There are pubs, restaurants, buildings, shopping malls, and other stuff. I heard there's a player raising livestock there. They're also in the process of driving the demons out. If that was true, then it was more than enough. The overwhelming progress couldn't even be compared to the original story. In the original, by now everything except the residential area would have been destroyed, and Prestige would have become a land of the dead. A hostile presence has appeared ahead. Suddenly, the mechanical voice of the spacecraft issued a warning. What looked like fruit flies at first glance were flying at us. They weren't spaceships, but gargoyles, monsters controlled by demons. Huh? What's that? Don't worry about them. This was an event that popped up occasionally. I took out the ship's hidden weapon. I didn't know whether it was a laser, a cannon, or a machine gun. Whatever it was, the gargoyles were completely annihilated after a few shots. Oh, they were nothing. Yep. After that, we chatted and admired the view of the tower's void as we slowly headed to the 16th floor. Genkalope, a circular disc-shaped planet, was different from Earth in that it was flat all around and its soil was orange. I imagined a flattened Mars would look just like it. The spaceship moved swiftly and landed on a remote corner of Genkalope. 16F, Demon Realm Colony, Genkalope. Team Chameleon Troop has entered the 16th floor for the first time. The reward for the first entry is the Special Skill Acquisition Book, Level 2 Atmospheric Whirlpool. The door of the spaceship opened, and together we got off and set foot on Genkalope. We were silent for a moment, staring blankly ahead, overwhelmed by the coercive scenery. Chok Jung-young broke the silence. Well, this is one hell of a scenery. Just as he said, the scenery on the 16th floor was frightening. The towers in the distance weren't buildings, but living things with beating pulses, and the tree right in front of us had a disgusting-looking eye embedded in its trunk. Ugh, so creepy! Giant shuddered at the grotesque view. You don't mean to say we have to clean up everything here, right, Hajin? Right. It'll take us at least 5 years to clean this place up completely. The 16th floor was very different from 5F, Materialized Demon Realm. There, demons at least looked like human, but here we were up to literal monsters. Chok Jung-young asked impatiently, "So what exactly do we have to do to go up?" Asked the system. How can we reach the 17th floor? I asked the system first. The reply came. Each demon on the 16th floor carries a random map piece with them. Defeat them to collect those pieces, and put the pieces back together to form a map that shows the location of the tunnel that leads to the 17th floor. 15F, Genkalope's abandoned vessel. Tisk, so even you guys don't know when he'll come back. Medea frowned viciously, her voice and body language full of discontent. Yes, he left without any promise of return. Still, Horner answered calmly even in the presence of administrators. Medea glared at Horner, who politely endured her gaze. It wasn't long before Medea heaved a deep sigh. Damn it! It's just one thing after another. I'm so annoyed! Athena flinched at her swearing and laid her hand on Medea's shoulder, which was shaking in irritation. You watch your profanity. Well, you're in the same situation as me. I can wait.
Oh, really? I feel like it was just yesterday you refused to even talk to me because of your so-called divinity. But now you're willing to wait for a mere human? Oh, how much you've changed. Medea taunted with all her might. Athena clenched her teeth but stayed put, embarrassed by her past arrogance. Athena's unresponsiveness brought Medea back to her senses. Sorry. I've been chasing after him for 2 months. Try to understand. It's fine. Anyways, you guys. Medea pointed at Horner and Ariner. She wanted to punish the cocky pair for keeping their eyes wide open in the presence of administrators, but she held her tongue. If Extra 7 was fond of these NPCs, harming them would only make him despise her. We can stay here until Extra 7 comes back, right? Yes, we don't mind, but we don't mind either. Surely you heard this austere administrator Athena say she would wait for him. It's as she said. Athena nodded. Hearing this, Horner welcomed them. Rather, the word welcome wasn't even enough. The mere existence of administrators would keep alien creatures away from Area 3. Then I'll show you to the best rooms in Area 3. Horner led them to the most luxurious rooms they had. Team Chameleon Troop began to climb the tower seriously. Day 1 and Day 2. The enemies on the 16th floor were all bizarre in appearance. There was one that looked like a lighthouse, another like a water strider, a mantis, and a deep-sea fish. We defeated those demons and put the map pieces together. Day 3 to Day 6. We consulted the map and arrived at the tunnel. Then we realized the tunnel itself was the 17th floor. We advanced through the tunnel. The goal of the 17th floor was to dig through the tunnel ourselves. Inside, countless monsters and demons awaited, but my comrades were more monstrous than them, so we easily overpowered them. Day 6 to Day 8. We dug through the tunnel and arrived on the 18th floor. The 18th floor was a dense forest of the demon realm. Even a simple misstep could make us lose our way forever in the demon realm's illusions, so I performed my best as the group's pathfinder, leading my comrades with experience and familiarity. Day 8 to Day 10. We escaped the woods in just 2 days and arrived on the 19th floor. We could tell we were going deeper and deeper into the demon realm. Omitted. Just like that, we cleared the 16th to 19th floors in a total of 2 weeks. Afterwards, I returned to Cravon for a while, having received notifications that calamities were raging once again. In disaster-stricken Cravon, I lived up to Fenrir's reputation for the first time in a while. I spent half of the 2,000 bullets I had collected, destroying more than 2,000 monsters. The combination of random consolidation system, algorithm, and ether changed my gun into something that transcended a normal weapon. The precise aim of the assault rifle annihilated the endless wave of monsters, and the name Fenrir was once again exalted among the players. That reputation was worth 350 SP and 100,000 TP. And finally, today, 20F. The Hollow of Ordeal. Doppelganger. I was back on the 20th floor. The 20th floor was remarkably different from the 16th to 19th floors, which were huge and extensive. It was a hollow cave filled with several small rooms, each with a nameplate that had the word Conquer written across it. Oh, so you're saying that in this room there's another guy just like me? Chek Jong-gyung was only half correct. As the name of the 20th floor suggested, a doppelganger would be waiting for each player beyond the door. The goal was, of course, to fight and win. The task was a coming-of-age cliché, both simple and complex at the same time. But before we go in, how are we going to split the skill books? Chek Jong-gyung asked, smacking his lips. Incidentally, we were waiting for Boss to join us on the 20th floor. We cleared each floor as a team, so she could come to us if she wanted. How many skill books are there? 9. 6 are special skills, 2 are unique skills, and 1 is an ultimate skill. Then if there's anything you want, divide them among yourselves. Yeah? Then I'll take this and this. Chek Jong-gyung chose a unique skill book and a special skill book. Jane followed, choosing a special skill book and the only ultimate skill book. I didn't know what they were exactly, but most were passive skills related to magic power or physical strength. Get ready if you're finished. Whoom. At that moment, the crystal steel in the center of the 20th floor resonated. The crystal steel shook the cave and soon spat out a beauty. It was Boss, with her long dark hair loose and her eyes shut. Oh, Boss, you're here! Boss, I've missed you! Boss examined us one by one in silence. Chek Jong-gyung, Jin Yo-han, Jane,
and me. I thought I saw her shoulder tremble slightly when she looked at me, but I was probably mistaken. Boss nodded. So this is the 20th floor? Yes, this is the 20th floor. You climbed a lot in such a short time. I gave a small smile. Personally, I was curious what Boss had been doing for the last 2 weeks, but I decided not to ask. A week would have been enough if you were around. Well, then, shall we go? I said as I disbanded the party. Team Chameleon Troop has been disbanded. You may challenge the 20th floor only as an individual. We then stood in front of a door. Although there were 10 doors, they all had the same function. The number was only there to limit the number of players who could take this trial at the same time. Out of the 10 doors, Chek Jong-gyung took the last one, Jin Yo-han was next to him, and Jane was in the middle. Boss wandered around before hesitantly standing next to me. Be careful. Just remember that the doppelgangers aren't very experienced with skills, while we are. Okay. See you alive! With Chek Jong-gyung's loud yell, I grabbed the doorknob. Keek! I opened the door slowly, my heart pounding. This was the real deal. The doppelgangers were only the first in a series of challenges on the 20th floor. This was a test, and things would only get more difficult from here. Warning, please be extra careful. From the 20th floor, death will be eternal. You only have one life. What? The heck is this? I stared at the system but realized it was real when my smartwatch vibrated a moment later. I felt terrible, but I was used to this kind of situation. A rewritten setting wouldn't change back no matter how much I complained. At least I could resurrect up to 2 times thanks to my unique skill. I was more worried about the others. Anyways, I stepped into the hollow space and closed the door. I looked at the man who had suddenly appeared. He was staring into space with his back turned to me. His appearance from behind looked like mine. No, he was me. Hi.
He turned halfway around. His sideways appearance was unfamiliar. The face I had only seen in mirrors was now standing there. Surprisingly, I wasn't too ugly. My body looked quite sturdy, too. What's up? I shrugged my shoulder. But the other me responded in an unexpected way. Who are you? Who are you? I frowned at the stern remark. Was that really what I sounded like? The doppelganger was supposed to imitate my way of talking, acting, and even my habits. Was this another changed setting? I spoke to my doppelganger. Who am I? You should already know. After all, you're me, and I'm you. The other me didn't answer. He looked at me with an expression I would never wear. Only then did I feel a sense of uneasiness. Something was wrong. I wasn't the type to be so serious. Don't tell me. Suddenly, a terrifying thought crossed my mind. Hey! The other me didn't answer. Firmly sealed lips, gloomy eyes filled with determination, and a frown that made his eyes appear even sharper. All of these combined gave off a somber, melancholic vibe. As I looked at him, my head slowly started to hurt. We were both silent. Time flowed in stillness, while a dark fog surrounded me. The unsettling suspicion became a clear intuition that overtook my entire body. The other me asked only after a long time, "You are me?" Hearing this question that questioned the fundamental existence of my being, I was convinced of my intuition. The doppelganger too must have realized this, that we could be different people. I clenched my teeth. Uneasiness rose like smoke as I agonized over whether or not to ask this question. But I had no choice but to ask it, because he was the only person who could prove and define who I was in this world. What's your name? The doppelganger didn't answer and only stared at me. I was reflected in his eyes. He and I looked exactly alike. I said, "What's your name?" I asked again. The doppelganger let out a small sigh. Then he spoke a familiar name. Kim Chun-dong.
Chapter 223. My name is Kim Chun-dong. The man who looked just like me spoke as he stared at me. I couldn't gauge the depth of his eyes. Kim Chun-dong. The moment I heard those 3 syllables, it felt like I'd been struck on the head with a hammer. I wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Thoughts swirled in my mind before fading away. While I stood there blankly, the other me spoke first. "And who are you?" It was a question I could easily answer. I was undoubtedly Kim Hajin, but Kim Hajin wasn't supposed to exist in this world. After all, I was an irregular who had taken over Kim Chun-dong's life. "I don't think you're me." "You know what situation we're in." He closed his mouth and eyes in silence. Judging by his reaction, it seemed I was right. Of course, that didn't change the fact that we had to fight. But before that, I wanted to ask him something more ordinary. "Hey." Hearing me, he opened his eyes. We looked at each other with the same gaze. "What did you do last night?" He seemed surprised by the question and tilted his head. After thinking for a moment, he groaned and pressed his temple. "I can't remember. A portion of my memory is blocked right now." "Is it?" The reason I asked about last night's memory was simple. If Kim Chun-dong was really Kim Chun-dong, then last night for him should have been 4 or 5 years ago. But for some strange reason, suddenly he began to examine his body, shoulders, hands, face, stomach, legs. He touched himself and tried out various poses before widening his eyes. "I feel like my body is stronger than it was before." He was probably talking about the time before I came to this world. In that case, what about the normal Kim Chun-dong? I wanted to talk more with him. "Do you? Then I want to ask, what did you want to do? You would have entered Cube soon. Didn't you have a goal or something?" "I don't know." Thankfully, Kim Chun-dong was cooperative. He seemed cold and somber on the outside, but was warm and gentle on the inside. Considering the volunteer work he regularly did, it wasn't surprising. "At the time, there was something I wanted." "Something you wanted?" "I can't remember well. Ugh." He suddenly clutched his head and knelt down in pain. It looked like a severe restriction was placed on him when he was summoned here. I let out a sigh and looked up at the sky. Why did the Tower of Wish put Kim Chun-dong in front of me? I knew why, but I wanted to ignore it. The tower had not acknowledged me as a being of this world. "Do you know why you're here?" "I do. It's written in front of me." "What does it say?" Kim Chun-dong made a cold smile. "It says, I can replace you if I kill you. That I, the doppelganger, can become the real one." Goosebumps ran up my arms, but I quickly changed the topic. "Not that. That wasn't the question I wanted to ask. I'm asking how you became me and how I became you." He didn't say anything. In the thick silence, we stared at each other. Our identical appearances were reflected in our identical eyes. Soon he spoke. "I know you replaced me." "How?" "I just do, naturally. It's not something I can explain." "Then what do you plan to do now? Are you going to kill me?" It was a sharp question. However, Kim Chun-dong maintained a calm expression and replied, "I don't want to live by killing someone." "Huh?" "It wasn't a life I wanted to keep living anyway." As he said that, Kim Chun-dong laughed silently. It touched me in a strange way. It didn't just move me, it resonated with my very soul. The effect of his words made my eyes widen. Warning: synchronization increases by 5%. Warning: your synchronization with your doppelganger is increasing. Warning: if your synchronization reaches a high level, it may cause dangerous side effects. I shook my head violently and chased the thoughts out of my mind.
I calmed myself with a deep breath, then looked at Kim Chun-dung once more. You. The system was telling me it was dangerous, but I still had many questions I needed to ask. Perhaps this was my last chance, so I had to resolve as many doubts as possible. Do you know about the Kwang-o incident? Kim Chun-dung flinched at the question. I do. How? It's easy. It's a huge incident that occurred the year I was born. I figured I could be a victim of that incident, so I investigated. Kim Chun-dung made a bitter smile. 3 or 4 years ago, I found out there was something big hidden behind that incident. But even though I figured that out, nothing changed. There wasn't anything I could do since I didn't have any power or money. Sk. He took out a sword that rang sharply. Anyway, we have to fight now. I'm bound by the system. Hearing this, I raised my gun. But there will be a day when we meet again. Really? Really. But before then, do me a favor. Kim Chun-dung pointed his sword at me. Ice attribute magic power undulated from the tip of the blade. I want you to find out. I quietly listened to his words. How my life got twisted to this point, and who caused the thorough solitude that coldly rejected my existence. With that, he charged forward smoothly. My surroundings grew cold as the temperature plummeted. Click. The bone-chilling cold was easily overcome with the help of ether, and I transformed the Desert Eagle into an assault rifle. My target was the swordsman in front of me. Under the slowed world of bullet time, I pulled the trigger at the dancing Kim Chun-dung. 15F. Genkalop's abandoned vessel. Meanwhile, Eileen's party, Eileen and the kids, finally arrived on the 15th floor after many difficulties. Although the 13th floor was the only one that was truly difficult, that floor alone had been a real problem. Not sleeping for 100 hours was a tough task for Eileen, who normally slept a lot. Where the heck is this? The past in which she wailed like a kid and burst into tears became a dark history she banished from her mind. Now, standing on the deck of the vast space vessel, Eileen murmured, "Well, I can see that." A spaceship that gave off a sci-fi movie vibe. Because of how different it was from the other floors, Eileen couldn't get used to it. Of course, she also knew it was silly to seek familiarity in a tower. Anyway, let's go. Yes. Eileen's party always had the same formation. In the front was the smallest but strongest Eileen, followed by Jin Se-yeon and Lee Young-ha, then Shin Jong-hak at the end. They walked slowly, taking in the 15th floor's mystical scenery. Oh, right. I heard Suho's party cleared the 13th floor, too. Did they? I thought they were more focused on protecting Craven than climbing the tower. I guess they can balance both equally. Yes, and I heard they also killed Chimera. What? Really?
Eileen finally showed a hint of surprise. The way she looked at Jin Se-yeon with a frown hinted that she was unhappy. Yes. Isn't this their second one? That's right. The first calamity to be killed was Python, slain by Black Lotus's party. The second calamity to be killed was Medusa, slain by the Sword Saint's might. The calamity, Minotaur, was the one Eileen had specifically designated as her enemy, since they hadn't settled things the first time they fought. Of course, it was more accurate to say she lost. After all, Eileen and her party had barely escaped using the return scroll Kim Hajin gave them. But the second time they met, Eileen had won with the help of Divine Archer Jin Se-yeon, Hellfire Lee Young-ha, and Mr. Anger Management Issues Shin Jong-hak. How did they defeat Chimera? Well, we all know Suho's gift is kind of a cheat. Sword Saint, the ability to cut through anything and everything. It was a top-tier gift that anyone would desire. While Eileen and Jin Se-yeon were talking, Lee Young-ha cut in. Ah, but Fenrir is quite strong too. You've seen him before, right? How he decimated all those monsters with his gun? Yeah, how did he get all those bullets anyway? Who knows? He has a gun-related gift, so wouldn't he be able to make them with his gift? I guess so.
Fenrir recently decimated an entire field of monsters in Krivon. His feat from that day was still being talked about in the community. But you're right, Young Ha, he really is something. Who would have thought he'd bring his gun into the tower with a black ticket? At that moment, goong! A sudden explosive sound erupted and strange-looking creatures popped out of the tiles on the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, there were at least 20 of them. Eileen crossed her arms and frowned. Ew, what are these guys? The words horrifying and grotesque described them well. They seem to be our enemies on the 15th floor. Their appearance is a little bad. Jin Seon answered as she loaded her magic power. Shin Jong-hak also raised his spear, and just as Eileen was about to activate her spirit speech, an overwhelming magic shot up. In an instant, the surroundings turned white as snow blew through the air. It was a simple ice magic, but its power was anything but simple. The alien creatures in front of them turned into ice sculptures before shattering into tiny pieces. What? Eileen and the rest were taken aback. Are you okay? A woman ran up to them shouting urgently. It was clear that she was the one who cast the powerful wide-range ice magic. But when she saw Eileen and the others, she froze. Eh? Eileen recognized the woman's face. Medea she? Right, she was the 3rd floor's administrator, Medea. Why is she here and not in Prestige? While Eileen was thinking that, "Ah!" Medea suddenly screamed in frustration. Then she glared at Eileen and the others, frightening them. Damn it, just when is he going to get here? She stomped off yelling about something incomprehensible. Eileen and the others watched her leave, puzzled. 20F, outside the hollow of Ordeal, Station of the End. I came outside after defeating the doppelganger. Nothing had changed. I was still Kim Hajin. I looked down at the gun in my hand. With this, I just killed a man who looked exactly like me. You conquered 20F's doppelganger trial. You obtained the guidance of the foolhardy mist as a reward. Be careful, your comrades might have been devoured by their doppelgangers. Be careful, you are currently at 7% synchronization. Synchronization, it started at 5%, but had risen to 7% during the fight. I didn't know exactly what caused it to increase or what it did, but it was clear that small changes would happen inside me as the percentage increased. Whew. I sighed and looked up at the scenery outside. The outside of the 20th floor was an empty train station. Under a thick darkness, a gray railway stretched endlessly to the left and right. Standing in this vast emptiness, I took a quick look around. There was nothing but the railway. Kick. The sound of a door opening rang out, and a familiar voice reached my ears. Where the heck is this? It was Chok Jiyoung. His body was full of injuries, but he seemed extremely happy. With a blooming smile, he approached me. More doors continued to open. Jin Yohan, Jane, and Boss came out in that order. They'd all defeated their doppelgangers, but my eyes naturally fell on Boss. Her fight seemed to have been the most intense, as she leaned against the station wall, panting. I turned my gaze away from her and stared at the empty station again. Soon, a system alert popped up. Welcome to the 20th floor's residential area, Station of the End. What? Residential area? Chok Jiyoung furrowed his brow. Is this place a residential area? As soon as he said that, the lights came on in the station. Our surroundings brightened, revealing shops, inns, benches, and a ticketing office that had been hidden in the darkness. Oi, Kim Ha-jin, it looks like we'll have to go to the ticketing office first. I shook my head. This station was the beginning of the tower's final portion. Buying a single ticket wasn't enough to let us on board. The train has to get here before we can get on. There should be a lot of time before then. Oh yeah? Ask the system. This station's train runs in 3-month intervals. There are 61 days, 16 hours, and 33 minutes left until the next train's arrival. At least 100 guests must be present to board the train.
I was surprised by the system's information. The last condition, requiring at least 100 guests, was something that didn't exist in the original story. Whew. Well, it wasn't the first or second time something like this had happened. For me, there was something else that was more important. I looked at Boss. She had been far away when she first came out, but she had gotten close to me before I noticed. Looking at the side of her face, I pondered. In the past, when I asked about Kim Chun-dong's incident, Yu Yan-ha had said it was the chameleon troupe that killed his parents. Furthermore, the sketch she showed of the person who admitted Kim Chun-dong into the orphanage clearly looked like Boss. In that case, Boss should have an idea of who in the chameleon troupe killed Kim Chun-dong's parents. At that moment, Boss looked at me. She seemed to have felt my gaze as she pushed her hair behind her ear and tilted her head. Boss. Hearing my serious voice, Boss let out a dry cough and answered, "What's wrong?" I looked at Boss and continued, "It looks like we can't go up any further for now. It might not be a discussion we had to have now. In fact, it definitely wasn't. But perhaps because of this synchronization the system mentioned, or perhaps because of Kim Chun-dong's request, can we talk alone for a moment?" I couldn't wait.
Chapter 224, 20F, Station of the End. Can we talk alone for a moment? I spoke to Boss, unable to wait any longer. She tilted her head, curiosity in her eyes. About what? I didn't answer, but Boss nodded anyway. Okay, talk. Not here. Come with me for a second. Huh? Why? Wait. Are you... A needless suspicion seemed to cross Boss's mind. I'm not the doppelganger. In any case, I arrived at a nearby cafe with Boss. We paid for our seats and sat down at a table, facing each other. We were finally alone, but Boss was silent. I too found it hard to speak. But if I didn't resolve my curiosity today, my suspicion would only grow. So I tried to get to the point. Boss, would you like some coffee? Or not. The timing wasn't right. I needed to establish some flow to our conversation to convince Boss to answer, otherwise who would answer such an abrupt question truthfully? Coffee? Yes, it's my treat. I forced a smile and brushed a lock of sweat-damped hair from my forehead. I'd like an Americano. Okay, I'll order that. I pulled up the automatic order window at the table and ordered an Americano. Then I continued. That's right. Boss, what reward did you get for defeating your doppelganger? Boss looked suspiciously and answered briefly. Orb of speculation. Oh, really? What does it do? I'm not telling you. Huh? Why? You're gonna ask me to give it to you. Oh, when did I ever... Well, I did take all the first prizes she got from the martial tournament. I even took the emotion potion, an item Boss really didn't want to give away through a far-fetched and flawed reasoning. Anyway, for the next 45 minutes, I talked about unrelated things and never got to the point, hoping for a better opportunity. I was such an idiot. 8-3F, Crevon's Eastern Wall. After the door to the 9th floor opened, hordes of monsters poured into Crevon day after day. Players had held them off until now, but as the war dragged on, many began to leave Crevon to climb the tower. As a result, the upper echelon of Crevon's royal family was distressed by their weakened forces. But at today's defense battle, a rookie suddenly stood out. She was so skilled that the word rookie didn't suit her. How long can you maintain your summon? This question came from Crevon's restless Minister of Defense. He pointed at a creature standing beyond the castle walls. The summon, which resembled a turtle, stood like a mountain, its gray, sturdy skin as hard as rock. The turtle was yawning now that the battle was over, but during fights, it was more agile than anyone. Sometimes it would tackle enemies with its gigantic body and destroy their formation. Other times it would open its mouth wide and launch a frost breath that froze all enemies. A summon that powerful must be hard to maintain for a long time. If certain conditions are met, he can stay out permanently.
Ahayin answered lightly. Through steady training and meditation, she had recovered half of her abilities and could already summon a high-rank beast. Permanently. But the Minister of Defense was skeptical. Krevon had 7 magic academies similar to Earth's magic towers. Few players had been admitted, and he knew that summoning was a field far behind modern times. What I meant was, if you can place a mana stone near the black turtle that I can connect to, I can keep him out all day. Black turtle. Like the Azure dragon, it was one of the 4 cardinal guardians from Oriental mythology, a mythical creature ranked in the middle among high-rank summoned beasts. Although the weakest of the 4, it had been Ahayin's close friend since she first summoned him in her early 20s. Oh, that is truly amazing. Haha, not at all. In that case, you can talk to me about the details. Yu Yanha smiled and stepped in. She'd been listening quietly and intervened when she sensed the negotiation was about to move forward. We'll need to discuss the terms in detail from here. We're not volunteer workers after all. Her words were gentle but precise. The minister glanced at Yu Yanha, then at Ahayin, who nodded. I understand. Then let's head inside the royal palace for further talks. The Adalos Royal Palace. It'll be a great honor. Hearing Yu Yanha's remark, the minister laughed and called for his carriage. Soon a carriage from one of Krevon's top brands, Benlik, and 3 excellent steeds as strong as 300 ordinary horses appeared. Please, get in. We're leaving right now? Why, of course. Just like that, Yu Yanha and Ahayin got into the carriage. Thanks to spatial expansion magic, the inside was at least 3 times more spacious than it looked outside. The ride was very comfortable. The 2 women sat side by side, staring out the window. The carriage started smoothly. Yu Yanha began contemplating what to give up and what to keep during bargaining with the royal family, while Ahayin turned on the community. A thief who learned to steal late is the scariest. That proverb fit Ahayin perfectly. The community was a whole new world to her who had never used social media before on Earth. Ahayin Hayin. Player Plabonim is so hilarious. I thought my belly button was going to burst like plop. Watching Yu Yanha write the comment, Yu Yanha thought, she looks like a teenager on the outside, but is really in her 30s. Duchess Ahayin, a while ago Kim Hajin asked me a question in passing. What's the matter? If she knew a teacher who excelled in summoning magic, could keep a secret, and was honest and faithful. Back then she had replied, no. After all, someone strong couldn't possibly be honest and faithful at the same time. However, do you have any plans to take in a discipline? Disciple? Ahayin frowned at the sudden question. Yes, I know it's sudden, but the thought just popped up. Oh, it's not a big deal, it's just that a friend of mine told me he found a very promising magician. Ahayin didn't answer and simply stared out the window. The small woman with the small head leaned against the window wistfully. From a bystander's point of view, she looked just like a cute little girl. Okay, she doesn't want to. Yu Yanha decided to give up. Suddenly, Ahayin muttered, I don't accept disciples. Yes, I understand. Yu Yanha backed down without hesitation, but Ahayin kept glancing at her, appearing somewhat dissatisfied. Yu Yanha realized it was because she hadn't asked why. If you don't mind, can I ask you why? She let out a fake sigh and put on a distant look. I used to have a disciple. Her big eyes recalled the past from 10 years ago, when she looked even younger than now. Back then, she had a disciple. That disciple is a djinn now. Yu Yanha nodded solemnly.
It happened often. Magicians, engrossed in study and research, were easily tempted by devils. For this reason, the law required demonic energy sensing devices in every magic tower and in the homes of every 5-star or higher magician. Of course, it was mostly a formality. I'm sorry, I didn't know about that. No problem, but just how talented is this magician for you to ask me to teach him? Well, according to my acquaintance, this magician could rival you in 5 years. Of course, Kim Hajin had said no such thing.
Yu Yanha just thought the time was ripe for a little provocation and made it up on the spot. How impudent. But Ah Hei-in only smiled like an adult. Yes, well, it is quite nonsensical. I guess it didn't work on Ah Hei-in after all. Most magicians above 7-star would have taken the bait out of pride. Just like that, the carriage continued in silence for the next 5 minutes. What is the name of your friend? Suddenly, Ah Hei-in spoke up, feigning nonchalance. Yu Yanha suppressed her budding smile and answered, Pardon? Oh, that's a secret. He's entitled to his own privacy. Ah Hei-in nodded without words. The 8-star magician, on the verge of becoming 9-star, rested her chin on her hand as if reflecting on Yu Yanha's words. 5 years? Then she sneered and murmured, 5 years. Interesting. Next to her, Yu Yanha smiled in silence. It looked like she had succeeded in granting his request once again. Player Extra 7's waiting room. Another 4 hours had passed since the incident on the 20th floor. I was lying on my bed in the waiting room thinking about Kim Chun-dong's existence and the life I was living. In the beginning, I thought nothing really mattered since this wasn't my life. And perhaps that was the correct stance to take. After all, Kim Chun-dong and I really were separate individuals. Is it because of synchronization? But my encounter today with Kim Chun-dong changed my perspective. Of course, I had no plans to blame everything on synchronization. After all, as someone borrowing Kim Chun-dong's entire life, shouldn't I be held responsible, at least ethically? But at the same time, my heart felt heavy. Kim Chun-dong told me we would meet again. My intuition told me that would be my end. On that day, Kim Chun-dong, who was Kim Hajin, would once again become Kim Chun-dong, and Kim Hajin would return to the original Earth. I stared at the ceiling. The Earth where I lived for 26 years. It had my friends, my tiny one-room apartment, my novel on hiatus, my pen name, and most of all, my beloved parents. There, I was nothing but an ordinary person, an extra. But here, in this world where I had stayed for almost 6 years, I had a lot more. Money, strength, authority, honor, and boss, Hajin. Boss's message arrived just as I was about to be swallowed by depression. Yes? For the record, there were other guests in my waiting room. Jain, Jin Yohan, Chak Jang-gyung, Boss, and even Kaita. I assumed they were throwing a party in the living room right now. Did you not drink? I heard Kaita brought good wine. Boss said, I don't really like alcohol. I smiled. This was a lie. Boss loved drinking. Although she never got drunk, she was a real connoisseur who enjoyed the taste of aged alcohol. Boss, what are you doing? I'm about to sleep. Boss, I see. Ka. Perhaps Boss was using the messenger more often. She seemed to have picked up how to use emoticons. Of course, she couldn't compare to the real expert, the blonde British princess. I suddenly got curious about where Boss was and looked around. She was lying on the bed in the guest room next door, tapping on the messenger. Contrary to her claim that she didn't like alcohol, a bottle of wine that Kaita had brought was on the drawer next to her bed. There was also a slightly faded orb on her lap. That must be the orb of speculation. I took out my smartwatch and examined the item. Level triple question mark. Orb of speculation. Devise a condition and restore a past you experienced for up to 60 minutes. Through speculation, you can induce even the most unimaginable truth. Can be used 2 times. Boss, did you already use the orb of speculation? Boss. Question mark? No, not yet. I'm going to use it later when I need it. I smiled at the lively tone of the message and knocked on the wall. Boss, who was tapping on the messenger with 2 fingers, flinched and looked up at the sound. Are you not going to sleep? Boss. Phew, you scared me. I will soon. How about you, Kim Hajin? Her voice was kind. "I'm going to bed now, boss." I see. I will stop messaging you then." "Okay, boss. Good night." Thanks to her voice, I could close my eyes comfortably. Let's forget about all the complications and just sleep peacefully. The next day, I decided to head down to the 15th floor. It was clear we couldn't challenge the 20th floor right away, so I decided to develop Genkalope's vessel, which could help with the 20th floor as much as possible. However, when I arrived at Area 3, what's this? Something strange was happening. I was in Area 3, yet 5 administrators have come to see me. From the looks of it, they all seem to be after Wolf's fragrance. You can't measure the value of Wolf's fragrance with TP, so, like I said, he already agreed to give it to me. The first was Simad, the administrator of the 7th floor. He had brought a robot to negotiate with me. The second, interrupting Simad, was, of course, Medea. "You haven't reached the 21st floor yet, right? That's my floor. I'll help you out." This was Seriko, but she was unimportant. Starting from the 20th floor, 3 or 4 administrators were assigned to each floor. Seriko, one of the 21st floor's administrators, was at the bottom of the pecking order. "I would like to know your name." The 4th administrator, Andromake, threw seductive gazes at me, but I ignored her. The 5th and last, Athena, in charge of the 23rd floor, simply stared at me in silence. Blah, blah, blah. I sighed as the administrators talked at me all at once. Magic power was naturally embedded in their voices, and I started to feel nauseous just listening. When I couldn't bear it any longer, I took out Wolf's fragrance from my inventory. Once the beautiful, gracious robe appeared, everyone stopped talking. Gulp. Only the sound of swallowing could be heard. "That's right, Tra. You tell them. You wanted to give that to me, right?" Medea asked, expectation on her face. But I ignored her. I started calculating in my head. Based on their offers, the administrator most fit to become the owner of Wolf's fragrance was Simad, the owner of the 7th floor. I handed the robe to Simad. "Huh?" Medea let out a single syllable, and Simad smiled softly. "Good choice. However, there is an item that I want." "An item?" "Yes. I spoke of the idea that just came to me. Isn't there a high-performance AI on the 7th floor?" "There is." "Help me transfer the AI to this ship. This ship needs it." "Huh?"
Simad started to think, while Medea reeled as if about to collapse. Simad glanced at Medea and quickly made his decision. He wanted to claim the robe before she did anything unexpected. "Fine, but you can't receive the Upgrade Center's purchasable service for free. That's something even I can't do for you, since that's a privilege unique to the 7th floor, not something that belongs to a robot." "No problem. I just want the AI installed on this ship." "In that case, the pact is sealed." Simad took out a tiny machine that looked like a phone. He used it to make a call, and suddenly a large portal appeared in front of him. Another robot came out holding an AI chip in its hand. "This is the AI chip." "Thank you." I received the chip from AlphaGo and handed Wolf's fragrance to Simad. Thud. The moment our trade ended, Medea collapsed on the floor, unable to withstand her dejection and wrath. For a month here, wasted my state of existence." With Medea talking nonsense in shock, Simad looked at Wolf's fragrance with satisfaction. "Good deal." With that, he entered the portal and left. "You'll regret this. Prepare to die on the 21st floor. You made the wrong choice." Seriko and Andromache also returned to their floors. Only Medea and Athena remained. I handed the AI chip to Horner. "Horner?" "Yes, ship commander." Plug this into the vessel." With this AI chip, Genklope's vessel would completely recognize me as its owner. "Yes, I will see it done." Ah!
Suddenly, a scream so loud it could shatter glass broke out. Horner and I covered our ears and turned around. What was that? What were you thinking? Medea jumped up and charged at me. Pardon? You said you'd give it to me as a present. You bastard! I said you didn't want it. That's because of you, I wasted a month's worth of my state of existence. Medea viciously expressed her anger. You might think it's just one item, but Medea was greedy to begin with and probably considered Wolf's fragrance hers from the start. I wasn't exactly sure what this 1 month thing was about, but if an administrator left their floor too long, their state of existence gradually diminished, so she was probably talking about that. You don't dream of setting foot in Prestige ever again! I was going to make you something new, a better one. You goddamn bastard! Better one? What better? Then the red-faced Medea stopped for a moment. Blink, blink. Her eyes blinked a few times. Then she tilted her head in a daze. Better one? Yes, I got this for winning the craftsmanship tournament. I showed her Hephaestus's chisel. Flinch. Her whole body shook. I could make even prettier clothes with this. Oh, what was it you called me just now? Goddamn bastard? I faked being offended and folded my arms. But I don't consider myself a bastard, much less one to be damned by God. I stared at Medea. She looked at me blankly, then put on a strangely humiliated yet submissive smile.
Chapter 225. Medea lost her composure for a moment when the artwork of her life was stolen right before her eyes, but she quickly regained her calm. She straightened her dress and smiled modestly. To be honest, it was a bit unsettling to see her like this, but since Medea wasn't exactly a normal person, even in the mythology she came from, such a reaction probably wasn't out of place. I'll be expecting it then. Thank you. Medea even thanked me politely before leaving. Hearing that there was an upcoming meeting among administrators, I accepted her request to make her address. It wasn't a favor, so there was naturally compensation for it. For the price of this dress, I should get about half of Prestige. On a side note, Athena also left, saying she would come back in 2 weeks to privately discuss something. Yes, Ship Commander, the pathway to the hibernation chambers has been secured. Then let's go. I went down the underground pathway with Horner, Eriner, and several NPC soldiers. About 20 minutes of walking, we arrived at a place filled with hundreds of hibernation chambers. My job here was simple. I took out the mystic key as though it were a trump card, then unlocked the 200 or so hibernation chambers in the room. Now, lead them to Area 3. While I was giving Horner and Eriner their next order, welcome Player Extra 77. APG 982, the AI assigned to oversee Jenkalob's vessel, greets Master. I have been connected to your smartwatch for your convenience. Notifying. Power has returned to normal operations in Area 1 and Area 3. You can take control of Area 1 through hacking its command system. Then do that, but don't hurt the people inside in the process. Aileen's party should currently be in command of Area 1, but since they didn't have anyone capable of utilizing their part of the vessel, it made sense for me to take it. Understood. Commencing hacking. Hacking complete. Area 1 has been synchronized with Area 3. Video of Area 1 will now be projected. What? Guys, look, something strange. Huh? What do you mean? Look. Area 1 now belongs to Master. What's this? What are you talking about? I just used my TP to power it up. Having her possession stolen again, Aileen shouted angrily. I made a mental note to make it up to her later. I glanced at Horner. I delegate some of my authority to Horner here. Understood. Horner, see, many players will be coming here soon. Yes. Most of them will be summoned to the deck in Area 1, so make them go through some sort of security check and separate them as needed. Then I handed Horner a notebook. What's this? It's, what should I call it?
It's a strategic book for the floor 16 to floor 19. I didn't know how many people would die climbing these floors head-on, and since I thought using this book as a reward could power up the vessel long-term, I put my full effort into making the best one possible. It's a strategic book that players would kill to get. Make them do whatever you want, and give this to them as a reward. Yes, understood. I returned to Earth for the first time in quite a while, but this time I wasn't alone. Spartan had come with me. He had recently awakened a new trait, the authority of existence, which let me follow me out of the Tower of Wish. How's the outside world? Is it better? Proo proo. I opened my apartment door with the satisfied Spartan. As soon as I opened it, ta-da-da-da-da, the sound of footsteps rang out, and Evendawn soon entered my sight. She looked at me with a bright smile, then paused when she saw Spartan sitting on my shoulder. Whoa, a big bird! She was in awe, her eyes and mouth widening to the size of a ping-pong ball. Evendawn, do you want to play with him? Wow, I can? Of course. I handed Spartan to Evendawn and sat down on the living room couch. I yawned a couple of times before turning on my smartwatch out of curiosity. Stats. Variable stats. Strength, 10.6 plus 5.400. Stamina, 10.135 plus 5.865. Speed, 14.625 plus 1.375. Perception, 14.925 plus 1.075. Vitality, 10.605 plus 4.395. Magic power, 4.55. Gift, Master Sharpshooter, High Intermediate Rank, Spirit Attribute, Evolving, Grade 3, Proficiency EXP, 83%. Young Dwarf's Dexterity, High Intermediate Rank, Illusion Attribute, Evolving, Grade 5, Proficiency EXP, 23%. Random Consolidation System, Low Intermediate Rank, Soul Attribute, Evolving, Grade 3, Proficiency EXP, 83%. 1. Physique, 2 of 3. Magic Dysfunction Physique. Energy Conversion's upper limit has been fixed to 16 points. Medicinal Memory Physique. Because your stats have gotten too big, stat-related medicines greatly lose their effectiveness. Like I thought. Excluding the artificial stat increases I've gotten like the Upgrade Center surgery, my stats had only gone up by 0.6 points. Thankfully, the two most important stats for a sharpshooter, speed and perception, had gone up more as I used stigma crystals to boost them. Back when I was in Cube, I worried about getting even one stat over 10 points. I'd come a long way since then. With satisfying reinforcements like stigma, aether, skills, and the medicinal memory physique in my body, I should be near the upper ranks of high intermediate rank heroes. Ding! Just when I was getting bored, Yu Yunhe messaged me. In case, I found a summoner magician and teacher like you wanted. It's the 8-star magician Hajin. I found it hard to get her. Contact me as soon as you see this. Hajin. I looked at Evendawn. Birdie, Birdie. Proo proo. Do you want to play with me? Please? Proo proo. Spartan flapped away while Evendawn chased after him. Every time Evendawn tried to touch him, Spartan turned away and glared. Zoe. Seeing her dejected, I smacked Spartan's head. I went down to the underground training room with Evendawn. I'll make the best conditions available. As expected from an 8-star magician, Hajin immediately recognized what Evendawn was and made me an offer after seeing her command an army of spirits. No, that won't do. She's not human. She'll need to be dealt with more strictly. Hajin's eyes saw through Evendawn, but nothing more. No, Evendawn is human. Hearing my determined tone, Hajin's expression turned icy. What do you mean by that? I maintained my silence. She continued.
Speak. What disaster do you think will befall humanity? The public perception is that Earth is in its most prosperous time, especially with the advent of the Tower of Wish. Disaster that would befall humanity. In truth, At this point in the original story, the enraged Kim Soo-ho should have destroyed the Tower of Wish. But now, there were still 10 floors left to go in the Tower of Wish, and Kim Soo-ho was far from being enraged. So the thing I was worried about the most was the third episode arriving before the tower collapsed. "Do you know about it, Duchess Ah-hae-in?" I asked first. Ah-hae-in spoke in a serious tone. I knew she had close ties to the association, so it wasn't surprising that she would know about this. I met Ah-hae-in's gaze for a moment, then turned to face Evandel. An existence that isn't human, monster, nor jinn. Instantly, Ah-hae-in's eyebrows twitched. Whether it was born naturally through evolution and mutation, or artificially created through research, that I don't know. But I do know that it is craftier than humans and more heinous than jinns. The third enemy was slightly different from demons or jinns. Because I glanced over the details too much in the original story, I had no way to tell what changes the co-author would have made to make the story make more sense. Do you know about the legend, right? That there are humanoid monsters in Central Africa. Those words put the nail in the coffin. Ah-hae-in bit her lips. Geronimo's information network has reached Africa. It's Fenrir's information network. I see. This great calamity would destroy the entire Middle East and a third of Europe. But with Evandel's help, this international catastrophe could be greatly reduced. Even knowing that, you don't plan on revealing that child's existence to the association? No, not now. Not until the time comes. Ah-hae-in closed her eyes and pondered. Tick, tick, tick. The clock ticked dozens of times in Ah-hae-in's silence. Eventually, she nodded. Fine, but that child's talent is far greater than what you think. Ah-hae-in pointed at Evandel. She was dancing with Hei Yang after training. 5 years, you said? Pardon? 5 years? What 5 years? While I tilted my head, Ah-hae-in continued. 3 years, no, 2 years, will be more than enough for her to surpass me. Oh, really? How amazing! I nodded and asked, so can you teach her? Are you doubting my abilities? No, it's just that Evandel doesn't use magic power. Evandel uses the power of spirits, a power unique to her. I know, don't worry. Ah-hae-in put up 2 fingers. 2 days a week, I'll come here to teach her for 12 hours. The price will be, would you like it in TP or Earth currency? Ah, you can get it in tower items too, if you'd like. Eh? Ah-hae-in seemed taken aback. I continued with a smile. Ah, this has gotten more common recently. With how famous the Tower of Wish has gotten, players inside the tower trade with stuff outside the tower. Ah, right, I heard about that too. In that case, Ah-hae-in took out a contract. This black paper was one Yu Yan-ha liked to use. Ah-hae-in probably got it from her. How does 50,000 TP every 2 weeks sound? That's fine. You must have a lot of TP. 50,000 TP is a lot. If you're talking about my assets, I have well over 1,000 times that amount. Ah-hae-in narrowed her eyes and examined me. I simply smiled and got up from the chair. It was time to introduce Evandel to her teacher. Huh? However, Evandel wasn't there. Spartan and Hei Yang were gone as well. Seeing me looking around the room, Ah-hae-in spoke. They just left. Oh, they did? You should pay more attention to your kid. Tsk, tsk. As she said that, Ah-hae-in focused on writing the contract. While I was waiting for her to finish, I found a smartphone on the ground. It was Evandel's. In this world, smartwatches filled the role of smartphones, but since smartwatches were trickier to use for children, smartphones still weren't obsolete. Curious, I picked up the phone. As soon as I unlocked it, a green search engine popped up with the following search history. England. What is England? Enland princess. England princess. Rahel. Richel. Rachel. I suddenly felt bitter. Evandel's search history was filled with her looking up England's Princess Rachel.
Rachel was a well-known person and often appeared in the media. In fact, she even went on the news this morning. Not only was she England's princess, but she was also one of the tower's top rankers, Craven's royal guard, and the most talented elementalist in history. Her beauty was also widely talked about in Korean forums, so it would be surprising if Evandel hadn't looked her up. In fact, she probably looked her up every day. Here. At that moment, Ah Hae-in handed me the contract. I glanced over it quickly and signed it immediately. Then I'll pass on 50,000 TP to Yu Yun-ha. Got it. Let me go get Evandel. I left the training room. It wasn't hard to find Evandel. She was just sitting on a swing in the playground nearby, watching something on her smartwatch. Evandel? I called to Evandel with a smile. Startled, Evandel waved her hands hurriedly and quickly covered her smartwatch's hologram screen. Hey, you're here, Hajin. Because of it, she couldn't run up to me. Seeing her cover up the screen awkwardly, I approached her first. Evandel, it's okay. I kneeled from Evandel, who was at a loss for what to do, and gently met her eyes. Princess Rachel, who just returned from the Tower of Wish, has been garnering more and more attention due to her talent as an elementalist. A news broadcast rang out from Evandel's smartwatch. I gently embraced Evandel. If you train hard and wait, I promise I'll let you meet her. After that day's defeat, I fell into an abyss of darkness and solitude. The conviction I carried deep in my heart was shattered, and humiliation was instilled into every inch of my body. The pain from that day still haunted me every night. The humiliating way I begged him to spare my life refused to leave my mind. Every day he appeared in my nightmares. In front of his cold, beast-like eyes, all I could do was shudder in fear like a rabbit. I felt the fundamental basis of myself crumbling from this trauma. A vicious sense of helplessness and powerlessness engulfed my body. With my entire life rejected, only emptiness filled its place. The first few days after that incident, I spent most of my time just lying on my bed. It was too late to realize this fundamental truth. As I had never experienced such defeat and humiliation, as I was used to finding excuses for my defeats and reasons to gloat for my victories, I had become an insufferable loser. Of course, even a late realization was still a realization. I began to do what I had to do, one by one. I began to put in effort. I put in effort like my life depended on it. I exhausted my body and mind, learning what effort meant for the first time.
Perhaps because of the effort I put in ever since the day of defeat, days where I felt accomplished increased. Although my body still shuddered uncontrollably whenever I thought of that traumatic day, I had finally obtained the chance to start over after falling to the bottom of the cliff. 2 weeks later, 15th floor, Genkalope's restored vessel. On a deck of a spaceship filled with numerous players, Belle, Jin Sa-yuk, and Rumi were waiting to get approved for entry. "Are you feeling better now?" Belle asked. Jin Sa-yuk simply snorted. Belle liked this change in attitude. Jin Sa-yuk had always been the type to talk with action rather than words, but now she had become quieter and more thoughtful. As far as he was concerned, this suited the future world's strongest more. Next guest. After all, who would have thought Jin Sa-yuk would have the patience to wait in line? This was a simple, yet very fundamental change. "It's our turn. Let's go. I'll go first." Rumi was the first one to go. In less than 10 seconds, she was admitted into the ship. Next was Jin Sa-yuk. She walked up to the security expressionlessly. But something was wrong. The employee who saw Jin Sa-yuk's face flinched, then quickly put his hand under the table. "What's wrong?" "Please wait a moment." "For what?" "Please wait a moment." "What?" Jin Sa-yuk frowned at the strange discrimination. It was then. Kung, kung. Suddenly, 8 heavily armed soldiers appeared and surrounded her. "What's this?" A system alert also popped up. "You have been marked as 15th floor's criminal. All stats decrease by 70%. "What? Criminal? I just got here. Capture her." Before she could voice her complaints, the soldiers charged forward. With her stats reduced,
Jin Sayuk was helpless against them. She could only glare unwillingly while her body was restrained. Why me? Why me? Why me? You are under arrest. What? Why the hell am I being arrested? Hey, let go of me. You are under arrest. But why? I've never even been here before. I don't know what's going on, but you're making a mistake. You are under arrest. Yeah, you fuckers. Oi, Belle. Do something about them. However, Belle saw Jin Sayuk talking to the man behind him, trying not to get involved. It was a familiar sight to Jin Sayuk, and she naturally misunderstood what it meant. Belle? Don't tell me... Fuck. Belle, is this your doing? We will make you faint if you don't be quiet. You should just let go of me, damn it! Jin Sayuk struggled to get free, but there was nothing she could do with her stats restricted so heavily. She didn't even need to be handcuffed by a magic restricting item. Belle, you son of a bitch! Looking at the roaring Jin Sayuk, Belle thought, she's like an injured beast. Belle! 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 Jin Sayuk was dragged away as she continued to yell. Belle faced her and mouthed, "It's not me." What do you mean it's not you? If that's true, then help me! Belle ignored Jin Sayuk for now and returned to talking to the person behind him. It would be dangerous if the same thing happened to him. Why are you doing this to me? Jin Sayuk struggled wildly. Rage and the feeling of being wronged surged from her heart to the point of tears. Why? Why me? Why me? You are under arrest. Arrest my ass. Let go of me, fat ass. Let go. Let go. Soon, reinforcements arrived, and the exhausted Jin Sayuk could only get dragged away. Why? At least tell me why. Please, at least let me know the reason. As she slowly disappeared, Belle turned and whispered, I'll come rescue you later. Next guest. It's me. Player confirmed. Belle was partially worried, but it seemed he was fine. What a relief. After entering the spaceship, Belle looked around in astonishment. The place was almost like a residential area. He could see burger joints, sushi restaurants, and Korean food stalls. They even had neon lights above them as advertisements. Oh, is this that strategic book? While he was looking around the ship, a familiar voice rang out. Belle glanced in that direction. There, he saw Essence of the Straits rankers, Chae Na-yan and Kim Young-jin. Yep, take a look and pass it to the other guild members. Wow, thank you. I heard it isn't easy to get this. How did you do it? I cleaned up the monsters in Area 5's basement. It really was hard. Then are we going up to the 16th floor right away? Yeah. Chae Na-yan. Chae Jin-yoon's younger brother. Looking at her, Belle smacked his lips. She would have been a good sacrifice, too. Should I have gone with her instead? At that moment, Chae Na-yan felt his gaze and turned his way. Belle met her eyes and gave her a faint smile. But perhaps displeased at the smile of a robed stranger, Chae Na-yan frowned and turned away. How cute. Belle smirked and went back to looking around the ship. But now that I thought about it, he was missing someone. The person who came in before Jin Sayuk. Where's Rumi? Jeez, these girls sure like to go off on their own. But Belle simply shrugged his shoulders. He didn't care what Rumi was doing. He wasn't the type to interfere in someone's private life, and players could revive a few times anyway. Well, I guess I'll go to the prison first. Belle sighed and began to head towards Jin Sayuk's new home. While Belle and Jin Sayuk were having a relatively peaceful time, Rumi was dragged to a dark alleyway. While Jin Sayuk had been taken by the ship's police force, Rumi had been taken by a much more dangerous person. It's been a while, Rumi. A cold voice rang out from the dark shadow that pulled her away. Just her existence alone stifled her breath. I told you, right, that I'll kill you if I ever see you again. Why should I die? You betrayed Boss with Belle. You're right, but
Boss wasn't as good of a person as you think he was. In that instant, the magic power pressing down on Rumi got stronger. Wait, you know about it too? The Kwang-O incident? Rumi shouted hurriedly. Even a single death caused one to lose their skills. Rumi was very aware of the importance of skills. You know it was Boss who organized that mission. To survive, Rumi touched a sensitive spot, but the shadowy magic power only dug deeper into her skin. Rumi knew she couldn't expect a peaceful death from the woman in front of her. She shuddered in pain and fear as she shouted madly, "You know about it, so that's where you met the current Seed of Black for the first time, as a murderer and a victim." The magic power paused. Rumi inwardly breathed a sigh of relief, thinking she had found a way out. "That's right, I know all about it. If you don't want me to tell him, let me go. I'll revive anyway if you kill me." The shadow flickered in the air, then let out a faint voice. "Rumi." "What?" Immediately afterwards, a gut-wrenching pain engulfed Rumi. "Who do you think I am?" Wait! There's no room for negotiation.
When a shadow blade was about to dismember a girl, tearing, a sound unbefitting of the situation rang out. In that instant, the pain surrounding her entire body disappeared, and Rumi turned around curiously.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video. Have a suggestion? Let me know in the comments.